Assalamualaikum and welcome to Mindful. In the spotlight today is the extraordinary Nadia Jamil. She has not only mesmerized audiences with her powerful performances, but has also used her influence to effect meaningful change. Nadia, starting from your childhood, take us back to how it was like for you.
Childhood was mixed. There was a lot of love. We used to play a lot. My cousins, there were 13, 14 of us, और हम बागों में खेल रहे होते थे, दरख्तों पे चढ़ रहे होते थे, मौलवी साहब से छुप रहे होते थे. Dark room खेलते थे. I remember we used to play dark room. And my cousin Tahira had this game, Protons and Neutrons, and where we used to give enemies को electric shocks on the slide के ऊपर बांध के fake electric shocks. We were बहुत मस्ती थी. It was lots of love. Obviously, because I am also a survivor of child sexual abuse, so I think children who suffer sexual abuse, there's an element of loneliness in our childhoods. Doesn't matter how amazing everything else is, somewhere you're trapped in a little bit of loneliness and fear. And there was a lot of fear and loneliness because I was unable to talk about it at that age, and I was pretty confused. And I didn't enjoy school a lot. I was very naughty. I rebelled a lot against authority. But I think my childhood was also full of romance and Faisab and Habib Jalib and Zahra Negaji's, mushairas. And Abda Parveen ji ki बैठक, इकबाल बानो की बैठक, ये फरीदा खानम जी की बैठक घरों में, जुमे के जुमे साबरी कवाल आते थे, ये नुसरत फ़तेह अली ख़ान साहब आते थे, अबू के बहुत बहुत करीब संगी पठाने खान साहब थे. So there was a lot of Sufi kalam and music and poetry around me. There was also a lot of politics. My mother was part of the Women's Action Forum and the MRD, the Movement to Restore Democracy during Zia's time. जब हदूद ऑर्डिनेंस के ख़िलाफ़ वो हुआ, बैठक हुई outside the court, the sit-in, तो I was there and I remember जब लाठी चार्ज हुआ and आसमा जहांगीर and मीना खाला and अम्मी लाठी चार्ज के साथ they were all arrested. So I was there at almost all the juluses that we used to take out against martial law उन दिनों में and for the restoration of democracy. So it was a political childhood. It was a childhood where I was 9 years old when my mother put me on stage in front of a factory full of thousands of workers on May 1st and made me sing International with Faryal Gohar and lots and lots of people. I started acting with Ajoka when I was 13, and Madiha Gohar was one of my main mentors. Madiha Gohar, Shoaib Hashmi, these were my earliest mentors. Raza Kazim, Iqbal Ahmed, my father, Jaleel Jamil, my mother, Nusrat Jamil, my nani, my dadi. So I was mentored by a lot of very powerful, strong people, political people, people who were very, very aware of social injustice and wanted to do something to bring justice around. And that sense of that anything you do and any act that you commit is political. Even the act of not committing is, and being apolitical, is in a way political. So my mother was a Marxist socialist in her youth. All her friends were also Marxist socialists. I think it was an interesting childhood. My uncles, the big family table full of khana and dadi ka pulao and aloo gosht and बहुत मज़ा आया. I think mixed bag था.
And what about your education?
Education. I think the earliest education I got was Abu. And रात को when parents tell children bedtime stories, Abu हमें सूफी कलाम पढ़ाते थे. और my earliest education was seeing his love for me, his love for animals, his love for everything, poetry. And I think for me that is the most powerful education, not the one so much so that I learned academically, but the one that I learned from my father of how to love, through my mother of how to serve society and act. And then, of course, there was schooling. I went to Convent of Jesus Mary, where I was very naughty. I drove the nuns mad. 3 पिंक कार्ड्स के बाद एक ग्रे कार्ड आता है, 3 ग्रे कार्ड्स के बाद आप एक्सपेल्ड हो, तो पता नहीं मेरे तो इतने ज़्यादा कार्ड्स थे और बहुत शरारतें करती थी मैं, ऊट पटांग हरकतें. I think school, I learned that the importance of school is not so much what you learn, but that you learn how to survive, and you learn how to survive stuff that you don't like, and you learn how to live with and go through and finish a situation even if you don't like it, which is why I think schooling is important. But it also, I think, जिस तरीके की हमारी कई schooling होती है, it breaks a child's self-confidence down, and I think I suffered a lot from low self-esteem because of that. I went on to Lakas, where I had a lot of fun. Out of all girls schools, Convent Jesus Mary, हमें तो ईद हो गई थी. There were boys all over the place. We didn't know where to look. We were so jungly and pendu. And then Lakas was a lot of fun because Lakas was amazing teachers. I had teachers like Susanna Harris Wilson, Sonu Rahman, Mr. Erbo, Salman Chima Saab, the lawyer. Salman Raja Saab was teaching economics. There's lots of people and fabulous teachers. And my love for literature and dramatics really took flight in my levels at Lakas. Then I went off and did my bachelor's in drama and politics with Iqbal Ahmed Saab. And then I went on to do my NLP and my the master practitioner course in NLP. And now I am applying for further education to become a positive psychologist as well. So, but I truly believe that the education is not, the word education is such a strong word. My biggest teachers in my life have been the ones who've taught me outside of school, and I think are the children who I work with. I work with children who have suffered trauma from sexual abuse or poverty or bomb blasts or Joseph Colony या जड़ावाला जहाँ घर जला दिए जाते हैं, or abandonment, neglect, any sort of trauma, disease, cancer. And as a drama therapist and an NLP coach, I learned so much from these children because I've learned that a child could be on chemotherapy, and I'm telling you for real instances, who's a child who's just been raped a few weeks ago and has had 13 stitches in his backside, but is just calling me up to say, when are we going for that ice cream? आपने कहा था हम आइसक्रीम के लिए जाएंगे, मुझे पिंक वाली आइसक्रीम चाहिए. या you go to Kasur after the horrible incidents in Kasur, and you go to jumping castles, and all the children want to do is jump. They want to jump. So I learned from children that जहाँ आपको मौका मिले, जहाँ आपको वो नेमत भेजता है to heal, take that opportunity, take it. ये जो हम दुख की चादर और डिप्रेशन की चादर और गुस्से की चादर और आवाज़ारी की चादर और होपलेसनेस की चादर लेके बैठ जाते हैं, उसमें बिल्कुल अपने आप को उसमें सफोकेट कर लेते हैं, उससे तब्दीली नहीं आएगी माशरे में और किसी को कुछ मिलेगा नहीं. Children teach you how to live and how to lean into living and healing. So they've been my biggest teachers.
And then from there you went on to teach at some of the most prestigious institutes.
I taught a little bit at Edson College. Again, learning curves. The boys at Edson College, if you're a teacher at Edson College, you can survive anything. Especially if I was a young 24, 25-year-old, and I just started acting as well. And मुझे याद है एक बार मुझे हेड ऑफिस में बुलाया गया कि जी आप तंग पजामे पहन के ना आए. तो मैंने कहा जी आप लड़कों को कहें कि मेरी तंग पजामे की तरह वो देखा ना करें, क्योंकि मैं इतने लंबे कुर्ते पहनती हूँ, अगर मेरे इतने से एंकल से भी आपके लड़कों को इतनी तकलीफ़ हो रही है, यू नीड टू टीच देम हाउ टू लुक एट मी द राइट वे. सो आई सबके बाल सफ़ेद कर दिए एडसन में भी, लेकिन it was an amazing experience. The boys were brilliant. I had amazing students. Ali Sethi was in one of my plays. There was that play was actually Tale of Three Pennies. There was a brilliant cast throughout, and doing that drama program was always very exciting. Kinnaid was also amazing. I did a drama program with Susanna Harris Wilson at Kinnaid College. We did Shakespeare's vignettes, so that was also amazing. It's been I then ran a little the empty space a little center of my own for children, for creative arts, where we had lots of masters in music, sitar, tabla, flute, martial arts, jo bhi hai, creative writing, fine arts. And we had children from different orphanages coming, and then the children who paid as well, who subsidized the place basically, and really fun, amazing classes. So that was, being a teacher is also amazing, because I think you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about children, and how each child is so different and unique, and each child needs to be somehow taught differently sometimes, and every child is brilliant at something or the other. It's a question of tapping into that.
What was that moment in which, you knew that you wanted to become an actress?
I think it wasn't a conscious choice. It was the only thing I was good at. So in school, I was in school plays. In my convent, I was in a convent in England as well. And my first role was, I was the back legs of Mary's and donkey carrying baby Jesus to Nazareth. And I remember being the back legs, but still really moving around, wanting people to notice me. और पीछे से मुझे वो teacher की आवाज़ आती थी, stop moving, because obviously I wanted to perform, but the back side of the donkey was a bit hyper. But उसी तरह I started performing in school, and then it was while I was at school that Nadia Jamil noticed my performances and asked me to start working with her, and I did my first professional performance at the age of 13 in YMCA. It was a Saraiki play called Lappad. And then Susanna Harris Wilson trained me in Shakespeare, and it was just something organically, it just happened. And then I went off and I studied and I came back, and then I was introduced to Mehreen Jabbar and I got into television. Acting was a hiding place for me because of whatever I was experiencing and being unable to talk about it. Nadia Jamil was very insecure about being herself. So I would be the class clown, and to try and cover up my insecurity, or whatever. I was very insecure, very shy. It was when I was acting and performing that I could escape from Nadia Jamil, and I was a lion, on stage. I was fearless, and that sense of being fearless was very empowering. So acting saved my life, I always say, and that's why I always say people who have been through trauma and abuse, it's really important to find that one thing that will be your safe space. And acting was, for many, many, many decades, my safe space. Acting and children. I started working with children when I was 17 at the Mother Teresa home. And then SOS, and from there on, I went on to now working with the child protection bureaus. So children were my mission, my life, my passion was always children. And I think initially it was because the child in me was not healed, and the child in me was suffering. So seeing other children who were suffering and being their mother figure gave me a lot of peace. So it was something selfish. Now it's different, because now, post NLP, post cancer, all of that, I'm not locked in a body. I'm not a 48-year-old woman with the mind of a 5-year-old anymore. I used to have that childlikeness all the time. It's still there. But a lot of child sexual abuse survivors, we get trapped in the age that we were sexually abused mentally. In our relationships, in our everyday life, somehow we're always children. And that's not nice at all, because you have no sense of power. You're always dependent on other people emotionally. Post NLP, post cancer, I became an adult. And I am fearless now, alhamdulillah. So it's and I'm proud to be in my 50-year-old woman voice.
So would you say, in a way, cancer healed you?
I got cancer in April 2020. It was the first lockdown for COVID. And I was alone with my 13-year-old. My father, my brother, my husband, my older son, mother, nobody could be with me. Ammi came after my surgery and after my second chemo was over. Cancer taught me that I don't need anyone. नादिया जमील का ठेका और नादिया जमील की खुशी का ठेका, नादिया जमील की मेंटल हेल्थ का ठेका किसी ने नहीं उठाया हुआ सिवाय नादिया जमील ने. It's not anybody else's responsibility to make sure I'm well, I'm happy. It is my responsibility. If I expose myself to people who are not good for my mental health, I am accountable. I am making that choice. I think cancer really taught me that lesson, that I have an army inside me that is wanting to fight for me and save my life. Cancer also brought me very, very close to Allah. Because when I was in the most pain, right after I was in a coma for a week and I was on a ventilator, जब मैं कोमे से बाहर आई हूँ तो I remember I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't even swallow. And I was saying, अच्छा मुझे इतनी तकलीफ तो मिल रही है, मुझे अपने होने का भी एहसास दो. And I felt like a bird, little baby bird, wrapped in cotton. No amount of pins and pokes and needles and nothing could take away the love that I felt from Allah. And Alam Nashra is one of my father's favorite surahs, and I used to read Alam Nashra a lot and ask कि अच्छा मुश्किल के साथ आसानी है, तो मैं बहुत गुनहगार हूँ, मुझे आसानी नज़र नहीं आ रही. तो अचानक what would happen is my heart would want to share something on Instagram and I would share it, and suddenly there would be all of this love. And lying on the hospital bed, I remember my tears would fall on the pillow just reading the love and the prayers that people were giving, who I never met, who I didn't know. And I just thought, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, ye asani hai. This amazing love that people have in them and this generosity of spirit that they have, that किसी बीमार गंजी औरत ने एक पोस्ट लगा दिया है और इतना प्यार. So I realized that all I need is my tawakkul, blind faith in His plan. Tawakkul became something very important. Tawakkul कब की ब्यूटी ये है कि अगर आपको लगे कि बद नज़र है किसी की, या कोई हसद कर रहा है, या कोई बुरी नज़र है, या जो भी है, लोग कोई कहते हैं आपने 2 कुल पढ़ लिए, वो 2 कुल अगर आपके नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के लिए they were powerful enough for him, who are we, what are we, nothing. So it gave me a lot of peace of mind कि मैंने वो मांग लिए उससे, और इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्ताईन एक बार मैंने मांग लिया है, अब उसकी मर्ज़ी है. There is a beautiful kalam, I'll sing it for you afterwards, of Miyan Mohammad Bakhsh, कि हमारा काम है माली दा कम पानी देना, पर मशकां पावे, मालिक दा कम फल फूल लाना, लावे या ना लावे, नहीं लाता तो नहीं लाता. जब अब्बू की डेथ हुई है ना कुछ महीने पहले, मुझे लग रहा था कि अब्बू जब जाएंगे तो मैं सांस नहीं ले सकूंगी, क्योंकि ये दुनिया उनके बगैर अंधेरी सी हो जाएगी. लेकिन मुझे एक बड़ी खूबसूरत बात किसी ने कही कि एक सऊदी औरत थी और उसका 15 साल का बेटा फौत हुआ, तो ताज़ियत के लिए एक पाकिस्तानी खातून उस सऊदी खातून के घर आई, और वो पाकिस्तानी खातून अपना सीना पीट रही थी और कह रही थी अल्लाह तुम्हें सब्र जमील दे, कैसे बर्दाश्त करोगी. तो सऊदी औरत ने कहा वेट, गिव मी द गोल्ड बैंगल यू आर वेयरिंग. सो द पाकिस्तानी वुमन टुक ऑफ द गोल्ड बैंगल and gave it, and the Saudi mother put on the gold bangle. Then after a while she said, now ask me to give you the bangle back. So then the Pakistani woman said, please give my bangle back. So Saudi माँ ने अपना बैंगल उतार के पाकिस्तानी औरत को दिया और कहा, this is what's just happened to me. अब I could take off that bangle and say, please don't take it, I wanted a little more, it looked so beautiful on my wrist, I really love it. Or I could say, thank you for trusting me and giving me this. So Allah trusted me with my son for 15 years. 15 years He gave me the gift of my son. But he was Allah's. He's gone back to who he belongs to. I was like, shukr, alhamdulillah. Allah gave me Abu for 50 years. 50 years. The children I work with have not even had a father for 50 days. So, tawakkul means having blind faith. And even though there is suffering in the world and there is pain in the world, tawakkul means having faith in Allah's plan, and also knowing that most of the suffering in the world today is created by us. We are the one living being that Allah has given the power of conscious choice to. कि तुम अपने लिए, मेरे अब्बा कहते थे जब तुम नमाज में खड़ी होती हो ना, तो इस बात में, इस फ़ख्र में खड़ी हो कि तुम अशरफुल मखलूक़ात हो, कि तुम्हारे फ़ैसले से या मुआशरा तबाह और बर्बाद हो सकता है या बेहतर हो सकता है. अपने इक़्तिदार में खड़ी हो. स्टैंड इन योर पावर विद योर हेड हाई. स्टैंड इन योर स्ट्रेंथ. जब तुम अपने घुटनों पे हाथ लगाती हो, सुभान रब्बिल अज़ीम, सुभान रब्बिल अज़ीम, सुभान रब्बिल अज़ीम, तो ये याद रखो कि तुम आम फहम हो. तुम बच्चे भी जानवरों की तरह पैदा करती हो, खाना भी जानवरों की तरह खाती हो, सांस भी जानवरों की तरह लेती हो. तुम में और इस बंदर में, खोते में, कुत्ते बिल्ली चूंटी में कोई फ़र्क नहीं है. तुम बिल्कुल आम हो. आम रब्बुल आलमीन की चीज़ों में से तुम आम हो. यू आर लाइक एवरीथिंग एल्स. और जब माथा ज़मीन पर टेको, सुभान रब्बिल आला, सुभान रब्बिल आला, सुभान रब्बिल आला, उस वक्त याद रखो कि कायनात के सिलसिले में तुम कुछ भी नहीं हो. तुम्हारा होना ना होना, तुम पैदा ना भी होती, कुछ ना फ़र्क पड़ता. ये जो हमारा जो सयारा है ना कायनात में, ये एक नुक्ते के बराबर है, एक पिक्सल है. तो हम क्या चीज़ हैं. और ये तीनों चीज़ें अपने आप में सिम्बियोसिस में रखो. तो आई थिंक तवक्कुल गिव्स अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ. माई फेथ गिव मी अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ. And my faith, when you open your heart to Allah and you have blind faith and you know कि प्लान उसका ही है, नसीब वो बना रहा है, नसीब वो मेरे लिख रहा है, किस्मत मैं अपनी लिख रही हूँ अपने फैसलों से. तो मेरी किस्मत मेरे हाथ में है. When I know that, then वसीले आने लग गए. NLP आ गया मेरी ज़िंदगी में. अब in November I'm doing embraining, dynamic communications के साथ I'm learning a lot. अब ये साइकोलॉजी जो भी है, पंजाब प्रोटेक्शन ब्यूरो, everything in my life I realized, from my foster sons to my own sons to my daughter, everything is part of his plan for me and his plan for them. So बाकी देखो, you and I are going to be dead and we'll be photographs. Then there'll be a time that nobody will even look at those photographs. This jaidad, these cars we buy, they will be in some, God knows where they'll be, some tin factory. We will be forgotten in another 100 years. Nobody will care or know who Nadia Jamil was, who you were. There are only some very great souls that will be remembered for all eternity, जो अल्लाह के वली और अल्लाह के प्यारे हैं. So I think when you know that, then you know that nothing is important. Nothing is worth stressing about and getting upset about and freaking out about. जब कुछ रहना ही नहीं है, तो बेस्ट यही है कि मैं इस मोमेंट में रहूँ और इस मोमेंट में मैं जितनी मोहब्बत फैला सकूँ और हासिल कर सकूँ और दे सकूँ, वो उससे मुझे लगता है आगे मेरी रूह की ग़िज़ा वो है. और मेरे जब बेटे मेरे कोक में थे, अगर उस वक्त मैं सिगरेट पीती या एंटीबायोटिक्स खाती, तो ज़ाहिरी बात है उनका जब इंतकाल था, एक ट्रांजिशन थी मेरे कोक से इस ज़िंदगी में, तो वो तंदुरुस्त ना पैदा होते. तो उसी तरह जब हमारी रूह इंतकाल के उस ट्रांजिशन से गुजरेगी, अगर हमने अपनी रूह को तंदुरुस्त नहीं रखा हुआ, तो आगे हमारे साथ क्या होना है, ये तो कुरान शरीफ में हमें वार्न किया हुआ है. तो मैं यही सोचती हूँ कि आई ट्रूली बिलीव, अगर शैतान की शक्ल है गुस्सा और हसद और नफ़रत और वायलेंस, तो अल्लाह ताला की शक्ल है मोहब्बत की जितने भी रूप हैं, जितने भी तरीके हैं. एंड वी आर ऑल पार्ट ऑफ अल्लाह, वी आर ऑल पार्ट ऑफ द डिवाइन. सो लविंग इज़, आई थिंक, द बेस्ट क्योर फॉर एनीथिंग.